This is the Merida Time Warp TT bike belonging to Vincenzo Nibali, the four-time Grand Tour winner who rides for Team Bahrain Merida. Now he's pretty into his tech, so let's see if there's anything spectacular about this bike. Starting with the frame, the Time Warp TT was introduced around the time of the Tour de France in 2018 and made some pretty big changes from its predecessor. Firstly, the weight, not always critical for a TT bike, but important nonetheless, and Merida claim that they've actually shaved 200 grams from the frame by an improved layup of the carbon. And also a redesign of the frame too, including a filled-in section on the top tube to the seat tube junction, fully taking advantage of the lapse in the UCI's 3:1 ratio ruling. The frame is very clean looking in its appearance, as you can see. There's virtually no cables whatsoever. In fact, you have to look pretty closely as it's been done so well, partly due to the front brake being hidden away inside of the fork blades and the rear brake tucked away under the bottom bracket. Both of them are actually covered up with some fairings too, which apparently make it 3 watts faster than before. Moving on to the cockpit design, as that is heavily involved in the integration of the cables. The Vision Metron TT setup saves 200 grams compared to the previous bars, as well as being 5 watts faster. Although at what speed I've been told, I'm not sure. But I am sure of one thing, that Nibali and World Time Trial champion teammate Rowan Dennis are capable of achieving that speed. One of the most interesting things on this bike is the Di2 gear lever setup, because Nibali is really into his bike tech. He's got 4 gear levers, or buttons if you prefer, a single button on each tri-bar extension, and 1 double button on each brake lever on the base bar. The buttons on the extensions control the rear derailleur, and they appear to be climbing shifters or sprint shifters that have been nicely fitted in some drilled out holes. The right hand side moves you into a higher gear and the left hand into a lower. Now the right hand brake lever and shift controls, that actually operates the rear derailleur, and the left hand controls the front. Now the reason behind all of this is that it's highly unlikely a rider is going to be changing chain rings whilst on the extensions. And importantly, at the start of a time trial, when Nibali leaves the starting ramp using the base bar, he can flick through the rear gears using his right hand setup until he's up to cruising speed. Sticking with the bars then, there's some interesting grips put on the handles of the base bar. I'm unsure if they are some bike grips that have been cut in half or something, and I did ask Philip, the mechanic, because well, they're quite square in shape, but he didn't actually know what they were because he didn't build up the bike. But he did tell me one thing, that Nibali is really particular about his setup and loves to play around with tech too. On the extensions, there is the very popular grip tape. Speaking about being particular about his tech, he's the only rider here I've seen using a bolt-on skewer for a quick release wheel. Now presumably to not only save weight, because this Control Tech skewer is made from scandium, but also, and importantly, likely to aid the aerodynamics. It's not your ordinary bolt-on skewer though that uses an Allen key, for instance. This one is tightened by what looks to be an 8mm flat spanner. Not the quickest thing though to change in a hurry. Now that skewer is holding a debadged wheel in place. I know it's either a Fulcrum or Campagnolo wheel because the AC3 sticker is still in place, and that comes from the two brands' name for the all conditions control technology in the wheels. Apparently, lab tests show that the improved braking surface provides a 6% improvement in braking in the dry and a whopping 43% increase in braking power in the wet. That is impressive numbers, as carbon wheels can sometimes be, well, slightly unpredictable in the wet. The hub, however, it doesn't look to be a normal one that I see on a Fulcrum wheel, so I reckon it could well be a Campagnolo Bora wind tunnel optimised wheel. It is fitted up with a Continental Grand Prix TT tyre in a width of 23mm, and the rear wheel is a Fulcrum Speed 360T disc wheel, and it's got an 1128 cassette mounted on the free hub. Well, it's wrapped up with a personal favourite of mine, a Continental Podium TT LX Pro Limited tubular in 25mm width, and that has a latex inner tube inside. It's got an SRM Origin chainset and Powermeter. It's pretty close in design to the THM Clavicula with the 2 pinch bolts to attach the cranks, but it has a tri-lobe insert for the pedals, which are Shimano Dura-Ace 9100. Now that tri-lobe is a really clever bit of kit. It means that by rotating it inside of the crank arm, one crankset can give you 170mm, 172.5mm and 175mm options. I'm pretty sure that this design was launched by Look for their Z cranks. Nibali has had his setup in the 175mm position, and his chainring sizes are a monstrous 58-46. And finally, there's a power meter built in within the spider of the chainset. The group set is a Shimano Dura-Ace 9150, which of course is the Di2 electronic version. The saddle is a Prologo Dimension Nack 143. The 143, that's the width of the saddle, and as you can see, the saddle is a shorter time trial style saddle, allowing Nibali to rotate his pelvis and ride with more ease in an aggressive position like you have on a time trial bike. It's about 3 to 4 centimeters shorter than a standard saddle, and also features a cutout to help relieve any pressure, as this can be extremely common when riding on the rivet. Finishing touches are pretty sparse on a TT bike, and in this case the only thing is the Elite Chrono CX bottle cage. Now, measurements wise, Nibali stands at 1m81, which is roughly 5'11 inches, and his saddle height from the centre of bottom bracket to the top of the saddle is 76 centimeters. The nose of the saddle to centre of forearm pads, 55.5 centimeters, and the drop from the saddle to the pads, 15 centimeters. Now, the weight of the bike, that's impressive for a TT bike, I reckon. It's 7.96 kilos. You know the drill by now. Let's have a listen to the Fulcrum Speed 360T disc wheel. No, that's not the free hub. This is the free hub. There we are, the bike of Vincenzo Nibali. Let me know what you think of it down there in the comment section below. I really like a few of the finishing touches, such as that quick release that's not a quick release on the front wheel. Let me know though what your favourite bits are down there in the comment section. Don't forget to like and share this video with your friends. Give it a big old thumbs up, and also check out the GCN shop at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com. We've got a whole heap of goodies for you to check out. And now for some more pro bikes, how about clicking just down here and just down here.